Hello, everyone.
Hello, Master.
Last time, we discussed investing in health. Housing is very important. Last time, we mainly covered the first choice in housing. Larger environment, right? Choosing the larger environment is the most important. There are other factors, too. That is the house itself. In terms of the smaller environment and the house's quality. The building materials used, whether it leaks water or not. These factors are actually very important.
Before we go further, I have a question to ask. When we buy a house, is it better to buy a new one or an old one?
That is an excellent question.
Let me ask first.
Yes, ask Shyanka.
I think it's like when we buy clothes. We all like to buy new ones, right? Cars, too, right? Being new means they haven't been used before. Better condition, and last longer, too. New things are more fashionable. I think being new seems better.
I don't fully agree. The environment, Master said, is important. We want to be in a healthy, safe environment. In a school district neighborhood, the houses are expensive, the new ones cost even more. I believe buying an older house in a good neighborhood offers excellent value and isn't as costly.
However, if we buy an older house, we will need to spend a lot on repairs. For example, if a water pipe breaks, the AC breaking, would the total repair costs be roughly the same?
I prefer older houses with an above-average condition. But with a new house, you feel like repairs won't be necessary. But you can't be sure if something will break after you move in. Then you might need to fix them.
New houses often come with more advanced features. Like smart home technology, also, charging stations for electric cars. Older buildings lack these.
Swimming pools and tennis courts, too. Spacious lobbies, and luxury elevators.
Yes, exactly.
You pay for all these. A swimming pool looks good, but my friend said they only used it twice a year. They didn't use the tennis court at all. I think it's a waste of money.
If I lived there, I would make use of it.
If you use it, then it's worth it. Master, just look at us. We have this kind of disagreement. Master, please give us some advice. What kind of house is better?
Is it better to buy a new house or an old one? I think I'll start by sharing my opinions, and then my analysis for you to compare.
Okay.
First, let's make a comparison. In a relatively safe area with clean, unpolluted air, should you choose new or old? For Xiangku, young people when purchasing their first home, they want to buy a new one. Everything is new, the decor is new. The entire community, the roads, etc. Older housing often lacks amenities like swimming pools and activity centers. Yes, and even full-featured gyms, which might be found in new, small communities, or inside very large buildings. Many older communities lack these facilities. Still, having or not having them have pros and cons. Like you said, some residents have never used the swimming pool. The same goes for the tennis court and the barbecue area.
Yes, really.
But you have paid the management fees every month.
Right. There's another issue with new houses. In square meters or square feet, let's say I bought one typical 3-bedroom apartment. In a high-rise building, the size required is about 1,000 square feet. It can have 3 small bedrooms like that. But then this problem arises. For this new apartment, 1,000 square feet with 3 bedrooms. But actually you don't have so much. You pay for 1,000 square feet. But the usable area is only 600 square feet.
The remaining space is shared areas.
Like swimming pools, corridors, gardens, and so on. The balcony, too. They are all counted as part of the house. Your actual living space is at most 600 square feet. About 40%, a 60-40 split. There are the so-called common or communal areas. That's how it is. Whether it concerns you or not, that's roughly it. But what about older buildings? The older the building, the fewer communal areas it has. You get more usable space. Buildings 30 years ago, those integrated high-rises built in Canada. Regarding their space, if you bought 1,000 square feet back then, the actual living area would be at least 950 square feet, nearly the full 1,000 square feet. Nowadays, many amenities are included, such as recreational and fitness facilities. The cost is ultimately passed on to each buyer. A 1,000 square feet property only has 600 square feet usable space. A 40% reduction has been applied. A 3-bedroom apartment looks like a 2-bedroom one at most. The living room is small. It feels very cramped. It's not worth it. One more thing. Many people overlook this. An old house actually has a major advantage.
What is it, Master?
Whether it's a detached villa or a high-rise building, there is one critical safety issue to consider. Is it truly safe? What determines if a house is safe or not? There are 2 factors. One is whether the house's structure is unsafe. For example, it might collapse while you live in it. That's a structural problem, right? The second issue is fire safety. You know, catching fire. Both problems are serious, life-threatening concerns. Is the building structure safe? There are signs you can check for this. You need to examine the flatness of the foundation. If the foundation is stable and the house resists fire, then it is basically safe. Because soil conditions vary by country, district, and each community is different. If I'm at a football field and want to develop real estate, the underground conditions at each end might differ. For example, 5 meters down on the right is solid rock, a huge boulder. This makes the foundation more stable. But on my left side, when drilling down, at 500 meters, it's all soil. It's possible.
Just soft soil.
The government, or ground that is either rock or soft, has specific methods and requirements to address their weaknesses. This is a solvable issue, right?
Yes.
It completely depends on whether the builders want to do a good job, and whether they want to build a reputation. Building reputation is about style, brand, and quality. I'd rather forego profit on this building, but I must ensure it's built solidly and safely. However, some businessmen and builders, they build just to make money. If they use lots of cement, say, pouring in 5,000 tons, the foundation cost $10 million. Then the houses, another $10 million. Some might ignore safety precautions to save cost.
About the foundation issue. It's very important for both new and old houses. What does this have to do with choosing new or old houses?
Usually, foundation issues are clearly visible. They generally take 8 to 10 years to show.
Not immediately after construction.
At least 3 years, I'd say.
Yes,
After 3, 5, 7, 9, or 10 years, those problems will begin to appear. If you're purchasing new, you won't notice these signs. You won't notice these in brand new buildings. Because their foundations are still solid. Over time, with tectonic shifts and earthquakes, and pressure taking their toll, problems will appear.
all right.
I have another question. It's about new houses. 10 years ago, my father bought an apartment. Then our family moved in. It's a newly built building, and we bought a ground floor unit. The building passed inspection and looked fine. But after living there for less than 6 months, one day, in the kitchen area, water was dripping down. The kitchen ceiling was leaking water. They investigated and said the leak was upstairs, at the sewage pipe. This made me wonder if new homes have this risk too. These leaks were never inspected.
Some problems only appear after you start living there.
So even if it looks brand new, it doesn't mean all functions work properly. It doesn't mean everything is okay. You only find out after living in it.
If it's a brand new building, nobody knows if there are any leaks, of if the toilets are clogged.
It's true that no pressure testing was done.
A house's structure isn't as precise as a computer, but it serves many functions. Then you say the rain was so heavy. Water can seep everywhere. It's hard to keep an entire building leak-free.
Yes,
When residents start to live in, they use water in various ways.
yes,
So making it leak-free is very difficult.
yes, these two issues, leaks and the foundation, are crucial to our health. The safety of the house is also important. It's not just about buying cheaper. Right. More importantly, it's about safety and health. All right, thank you, Master. When choosing between a new and old, the key is having the time to inspect and consider the safety and health factors. Such a second-hand house is still worth considering. It's very good.
More worthwhile.
A second-hand house of the right age, if it's a good one, truly offers great value for money. The house is safe and the price is affordable. The area is larger and the management fees are lower, so it's actually a very good deal.
Thank you, Master. I have another question. Some houses have exteriors and colors that, just by looking at them, I don't like.
Weird shape, right?
People tell me how nice the inside is. Should I overcome this dislike of mine? Or should I buy a house like that?
When you actually go to buy a house, this is truly the first step. Earlier, we discussed if new or old is better. Now it's time to choose the house. At this first step, when you see this house, no matter what dislike you have, don't go any further. First, consider the color. Second is the shape. Third, related to the shape, are some unchangeable features. For example, unusually large trees, or if you strongly dislike the color of your neighbor's house, then don't proceed with that house.
So when choosing a house, listening to your inner voice is very important.
The key is many don't know what their inner voice truly is. Here we are, sharing with everyone. You need to consider the house's shape and color, as well as the nearest large trees and decorations. Also, how you feel about the closest neighbors. If the feeling is bad, don't look further.
Don't buy it.
Remember this.
Speaking of this oddly shaped building, I saw one featured on the news. It's the MIT, a very famous university. In 2004, they opened a new building. The one shown in the picture is called the Stata Center. It's designed by a renowned architect, an award-winning architect they hired. They spent $15 million just on design fees. The entire construction cost $300 million, a massive investment. The design is clearly avant-garde. Its overall feel is far from flat. Yes, the building is recessed in spots, creating a futuristic atmosphere.
It looks like a collapsing building.
Yes, you could say that too.
I don't like it. It feels like living among ruins.
Some people see artistic value, a few like it. Yet despite its artistry, less than 6 months after opening, various issues emerged. It has an open-air theater, right? The brick walls began cracking in less than 6 months. Then constant leaks started occurring. Also, ice and snow slid off, blocking the emergency exits, and so on. There are various problems.
Since the walls were concave, snow and water accumulated, clogging drainage.
Leaking got worse. About $1.5 million were spent just to repair the leaks. Then, in 2007, MIT sued the architect and the architect's firm from that time.
Some architects often end up being careless.
The design and construction had serious flaws. It also demanded high maintenance cost. This is just one example. Although the design was innovative, it wasn't practical. It was inconvenient and expensive to repair. Thus, these oddly shaped houses may be less functional than simple box-like ones.
Here in Taiwan, I saw on the news another oddly shaped building. It was designed by an Italian architect, and it's an apartment. It's called the Agora Garden.
Such a poetic name.
It refers to a figure from the spring and autumn period, family. It's built to attract millionaires, I think. This building was designed in 2018. Its structure resembles the double helix of human DNA. It also incorporates environmental concepts. There are more than 20,000 trees inside this building. People say this mansion is like a living forest. See, doesn't it feel incredible? The ideas and design concepts are truly impressive. However, I believe Taiwanese people really understand feng shui. Since its construction in 2018, in 7 years, only one unit has been sold. It belongs to the owner himself. He furnished it to be used as a showroom. Over these 7 years, no one else has bought any units. When asked why, the Taiwanese people say, it does not conform to feng shui principles. This building twists and turns excessively. Living inside feels unsafe. There's no sense of stability. Unstable, so no one wants to buy it. As a result, it has become a lonely, vacant building. Isn't that strange?
I wouldn't buy it either.
Viewers, would you buy this? This kind of distorted building? Come on, everyone, share your answers.
As a young person, driven by curiosity and a spirit of exploration, you'd explore a haunted house. Buying a house is different. You have to live in it. It's not exploring a haunted house. So when you look to buy a house, you want a place to call home. A sense of security and happiness. So the house's safety itself is very important. But when the building's design is too strange, it makes people uneasy. Especially the Agora Garden in Taiwan. Most parts are suspended mid-air. It's like a cookie, you never know when it might collapse. Look at the pictures of this building. There's no pillar holding it all up.
It has no pillars.
That's even more unsettling, right?
That's why no one buys it.
This building, your innovation. No one risked their life to try out your innovation. It's just too risky to live in it.
Right.
I'm not against innovation. Many innovations are still sensible. But when it defies the laws of nature, like gravity, for example, that's called playing with fire. It means self-destruction.
Yes, the risk is great.
It's like inviting death. Who would do that? I wouldn't pay anyone to bring me death. Riding a roller coaster myself is fine. But if I take my grandma on it, that's a death sentence. No one would buy a dangerous house.
Master, about the Agora Garden. If we want to help selling those houses, how could we fix it?
Selling those houses as they are is impossible. There's only one way. Demolish, then rebuild.
Oh my God.
As it stands now, that's the only way. Adding pillars under each unit? That would ruin the entire building. No one would buy it the way it is now.
Yes.
Earlier we saw some designs that were more extreme, right? We also saw some houses that weren't square. Yes. Some were oval or triangular. Are they not good?
Anyway, I wouldn't choose them.
Let's focus on the house's shape. I mean, many house shapes, if they look odd and don't fit your aesthetic, don't pick them.
Yes, okay, that's what Master says. If the color or shape makes you uncomfortable, don't buy it, no need to even look inside.
Just reject it, end of story.
Move on.
Talking about colors from earlier, especially in North America and then Europe. Many paint their houses in various colors.
Some look nice.
But different colors definitely carry different meanings. According to the yin yang concept, different colors are also linked to your health. When a house is painted in colors you seldom see on buildings, what is the homeowner trying to achieve?
They want to draw attention.
Think about this. The usual exterior color of a typical house facade. Generally, it's not bright red, right?
No.
Not bright green, right?
No.
Not very yellow, too.
No, nothing too glaring, I would say.
Not glaring at all. There is a color, the cement color, which is a kind of grayish black. Gray. The second common one is an earthy color, the color of soil.
Or white.
Then a bit of beige. Today, I have also seen many types of building materials. Some have a slight blue pigment mixed in the gray. Mostly, it is still classified as gray. That type exists as well. Besides that, there's white or a whitish shade. For example, white lime wash. That's in the past, now white paint is common. There are also white ceramic tiles. Some even have marble cladding. That's true. But a building that is pure white, is it comfortable to the eyes?
A bit too much.
Some buildings are painted completely green.
That's even more striking.
Eco-friendly. For eco-friendly or organic food, there's usually a leaf symbol to highlight it's an eco-friendly building. The whole exterior is painted green. Would you want to buy a place like that?
It looks uncomfortable.
There's also a house painted bright red.
Doesn't that remind you of a fire station?
If it's a home, would you spend money to buy it?
No, definitely not.
There's an even more surprising one, pink. Don't girls want everything in pink? Now, you've become an adult woman. You choose a house painted pink on the outside, fulfilling your dream. Would you buy this house?
I wouldn't.
Would you, Xiangke?
No.
Yes.
It's too strange and eye-catching. It also feels unsafe.
In Europe, many houses use these colors. They are businesses.
To attract attention, like coffee shops.
We have certain rules. For instance, I opened a cafe. The cafe. I converted a private home, a residential house, into a cafe. All the houses are painted in ordinary, normal colors. For foreigners, the house colors don't seem unusual. But to make my cafe stand out, I painted it. For example, bright green. It's not about feng shui. I just wanted it to be very eye-catching. Yes. Right, you'd spot a green roof right away. That's the cafe. It's advertising to attract customers. For some, they paint their houses red outside. It's like fire stations. The fire departments. Those in the US, too, are red, very red, because red represents blood and fire. Firefighting equipment is usually painted red. It symbolizes fire. In many homes and offices, fire buckets and extinguishers are commonly found. The color must be bright red to stand out. But if your house exterior is bright red, and you're not a fire station, could there be another reason? Basically, choosing an unusual color carries special meaning. This meaning is not the ordinary, everyday one, but an additional message. What's the key point? To attract attention from those who understand it. So when choosing house colors, do we pick unusual ones?
No.
Understand this first, then start being practical. Let me put it this way. If you are about to become a parent, and you have a baby, a child, right? Do you want a flashy, crazy nightclub lifestyle? Or do you want to settle down and raise your child well? Be stable. Your home shouldn't attract attention. Only then can you live peacefully.
Okay.
Choosing the right color is very important.
Thanks, Master.
When buying a high-rise home, why is color important? Because the color of a high-rise cannot be changed by your family as occupants, right? No one can change it. Repainting the exterior wall costs a lot. It's impossible. If the wall color is wrong and the layout feels off, immediately walk away, don't buy it.
There seems to be another deal breaker. The roof. Generally, in North America, roofs are sloped, which is healthier. They also drain water and snow better. These are easier to manage. But some have flat roofs. Master had previously mentioned that flat roofs pose many hidden risks.
this idea of flat roofs. Actually, we have observed roofs in different countries. Roofs play a role in protecting from wind and rain. After surveying various regions worldwide, there are still relatively few countries with flat roofs. For example, in my hometown, my true hometown, in Hebei province, China, many roofs are flat. I don't know if this is due to tradition or poverty. Even in houses built during the past decade, especially those built by farmers, had pointed roofs, usually with ceramic tiles. When we were kids, flat roof was the way. The flat roof had a slight slope. If you understand the concept of angles, it's at least 10 degrees. When it rains, water flows down naturally. No one has to push it. Also, in the Middle East and in North Africa, that area is a desert with very little rain. The roofs are flat too, but I know they still have a slight slope. So when it rains or snows, the water can drain away. It must flow downward. This flat roof is a contemporary, modern design.
I've seen many designs of so-called luxury homes, where the roofs are flat. The eaves are extremely short, right?
Yes.
They look stylish.
Especially the roof's edge. It's very short. If it takes forever to open the door, and it rains, you get drenched. I honestly don't see the point of that.
It was cool back then, and I've no idea why.
That protruding eave might cost more. But a house without eaves isn't cheap. But let's talk about the flat roof first. It's made as a level flat roof. For one reason, and that reason actually makes sense. But using it that way was wrong. About 100 years ago, people began to use petroleum. The residue is called bitumen. It's that black stuff used for paving roads. After heating and melting it, it's mixed with sand and stones. It's used to pave roads. It's excellent for paving. Now, if this material is mixed with wool blankets, it's called oil felt. Once the oil felt is sufficiently oiled, the original felt becomes waterproof.
Waterproof.
Yes. Roofing felt is made using this. It's made by mixing asphalt in. It forms a flat surface, like a thin blanket, like a felt blanket. Laid down there, it's waterproof. That's how it works. Once they had it, in North America and Europe, they used it to cover roofs. Westerners are very particular about scientific accuracy. Sellers of roofing felt, for example, in Canada, claim that they last for 30 years.
Yes.
If it wouldn't last 30, it'd last 25. Or worst case, you might need to replace it every 20 years. Throughout the process, they overlooked one part. When it is extremely cold, and also extremely hot, the sun keeps shining, heating it more and more. This roofing felt also emits gas, either gas or moisture. Some areas had 2 to 3 layers bonded. Some layers bulge, forming large bubbles. Say, my roof, about 100 square meters in total. After it rains, many drainage channels remain. But the entire roof is flat, with no slope to guide the water flow. Occasionally, some parts of the roofing felt bulge up. This can cause water to pool in certain areas. This is not what the designer wanted. Properly laid felt stays flat, allowing water to flow off. Along with bird droppings, blown-in debris like trash and leaves, and dust. When these build up, much water that should drain freely gets blocked. This is a design error. The designer placed too much trust in the roofing felt, overlooking the roof's fundamental structure. With roofing felt, there should be a slight slope, 20 degrees. Like many Japanese houses whose roofs are not sharply peaked, some snow still accumulates in the middle. And the roof has a slope, which looks simple and honest, right? But there is a slope.
At least gravity pulls the water down.
Like the Gothic style in Europe, Gothic roofs are steep. Wind, rain, and snow drain off naturally. These sharp roofs are meant for quick drainage, to quickly shed snow. Flat roofs can't drain water quickly, nor can they clear snow fast. There is the pressure after snowfall.
That's right.
People usually think snow is loose and light, right? Yes. If a meter of snow piles up on my roof, the water can't drain for almost a month. The snow stays on the roof, and you have heating underneath the roof, right? So near the underside of the roof, the snow melts into water, but the water cannot drain away.
It remains soaked there.
Yes, it soaks and loosens many of the original adhesives, like AC outlets and electrical conduits. These spots become sources of leaks. Our centers had leaked water before, because the roof is very flat. When we saw the trash on the roof, we realized that flat roofs make drainage extremely difficult. From now on, we will never build flat roofs again. Some architects insist on flat roofs, feeling confident in the drainage effect of the oil felts. It doesn't work. So, don't go for exaggerated slopes, okay? But they must have at least a 10-degree slope, so water can drain naturally. This is a misconception held by some designers.
So, this is the problem flat roofs create. In Pennsylvania, USA, there is a mansion, known as the Falling Water. Let's look at the pictures. It not only has many flat roofs, but also swimming pools on the roof. Look, waterfalls, from one level to the next. Look at the flat roof. The building even extends across a river or stream. This expresses an artistic harmony with nature. However, in this house, in just less than a year of construction, there were 52 leaks. The ceiling dripped water directly, causing mold on the interior walls. All the wooden furniture inside the house rotted, because the roof lacked sufficient drainage slope. Water kept accumulating on top, then leaked into the walls, causing mold. Besides that, the house also had many skylights. The skylight and wall glass were not sealed properly, leading to numerous leaks. The owner invested a lot to purchase and build this villa. He only lived here once. Yes, the first year after completion, and only during the summer. It became too troublesome. Leaking and mold issues caused lots of troubles. So the owner donated the villa to a foundation, which transformed it into a tourist attraction. Since then, maintenance costs have added up to millions of dollars.
Repairs are still ongoing.
In early 2025, $7 million have been spent on extensive repairs to fix the leaks. Aesthetics over practicality.
It shouldn't be called the falling water. Leaking water would be more accurate.
Yet, I believe calling it falling water is fitting. Water keeps falling.
Falling inward.
At last, the house got donated.
Too much trouble.
No one would buy it. It's obviously a leaking house.
They've spent more on fixing the leaks then on buying the house itself.
Many people live in flat-roofed houses. It's truly a hardship, isn't it? So if we buy a house that leaks badly, then we're out of luck, right? Because when we buy a house to live in, it should be a place to enjoy. It should bring happiness. But instead, we end up caring for it, endlessly busy every day. True house slaves.
It's very sad.
Earlier, we talked about houses with flat roofs. It's best to keep a respectful distance. Better not to fix it, or even better, don't buy it.
If unavoidable, many now live in high-rise apartments.
The roofs are flat.
Apartment roofs are almost always flat. What should we do? Don't live on the top floor.
It leaks the most.
The top floor has the best view and is the most expensive. I suggest leaving that floor to the chairman himself. When choosing a floor, don't pick the top one.
A good advice.
Usually, don't pick the bottom floor either. That's it.
All right.
Thank you, Master.
Now, let's review this. What do we look at when choosing new or old buildings, especially regarding the house's safety? Old houses have been inspected, so they're safer. Avoid houses with shapes and colors you dislike. Avoid flat roofs. Don't buy the top floor units. These are the two major considerations. The third key point is the house's safety. Safety involves several smaller factors. The most important is the foundation. Here's an example. In Thailand, there was a building. Once built, people rushed to buy units. Shortly after moving in, they noticed cracks appearing between the ground and the building's structure. Some were narrow, while others were wide.
It's serious. Look at the huge crack. See?
Exactly. If you were the owner, you'd certainly approach the developer, right? Everyone was frightened. It looked like it's sinking.
Yes.
Finally, the developer admitted it. Yes, the foundation had sunk a bit. But the owners were told not to worry, as it wouldn't affect the main structure. That's what the developer said. The owners weren't convinced. They couldn't get their money back. Right. Cases like this are quite common. The foundation is really important.
It's truly frightening.
Master, please enlighten us. So, when we go house hunting, regardless of how old they are, what do we look at to choose one with a good foundation?
All right, first, when we go to see or buy a house. When we actually step outside to view the houses, I usually bring certain items. There is a 5-word mantra. First, look. Then, touch.
Feel it, the walls, the floor.
You're inspecting a house, not jewels. Sometimes you need to touch around. For instance, the walls, are they damp, dry or sticky? Next, smell. Use your nose. Is there any odor? Like a moldy smell, cooking odors, urine scent, fecal stench, or any unusual smells. These are all important clues. It's like TCM's diagnosis. Look, listen, ask, feel. Next, light. Use a flashlight. Be sure to bring a powerful flashlight. Make sure your flashlight is bright. Next, snap. Everyone has a phone. The better your phone model, even in dark rooms, you can still snap clear photos. Use an iPhone 16. The camera works well even in dim lighting. Snap at everything that catches your eyes. After viewing, especially for a new unit, you can't rely on memory alone once you're home. You won't remember every detail. Then, go back and go through everything you've snapped. Then, make your decision. So remember this 5-word mantra. Let's review it again. Look, touch, smell, light, and snap. So what should you bring? For example, a camera phone, a flashlight with strong light. It's best to bring some tissues, facial or hand towels or tissues. There are spots that, once wiped, will tell you things.
Since smelling is crucial, don't wear masks when inspecting a property.
Before entering the house, remove your mask. When inspecting inside, please don't wear a mask. Only then can you detect the odors. For instance, when entering a house, you might notice a musty smell. Some houses give off a very strong foul odor. In the kitchen, you may detect something rotten. Classify how severe the smells are. If it's too strong, it might not come from kitchen waste. It could be something serious. Photos, looking and touching around, and smelling are essential.
What time do we go inspect a house?
Usually for your first viewing, you won't visit a house at night. It's always during the day, morning or afternoon. Both are okay. Each has its advantages. Try to avoid viewing on cloudy days.
Yes.
Right.
Sunny days, okay?
On cloudy days, it's not bright enough. It's unsuitable for viewing. You can't clearly see everything, so don't view the house on a cloudy day. If you have looked inside during the day and felt interested to move forward, go see it at night.
What's there to look at night?
Your feelings matter.
I mean, do you feel comfortable? Or if there's a strange vibe?
Yes, feelings like these. When you visit a house at night, you might see a group of troublemakers.
Exactly.
Troublemakers don't show up during the day. They show up at night, drinking and causing trouble. So, it's essential to look several times at night. If you're interested, then visit it a few more times. It's best to inspect the house on a sunny day.
Also, avoid flat roofs. But if it's a pitched roof, check for leaks. Just now, you mentioned leaking.
So, avoid flat roofs altogether. That's for the roofing part.
To check for leaks, especially from rain, inspect the house immediately after it rains.
The best time is on the second day. Whether the second or third day, you should see it clearly.
Alright, let's summarize. The first viewing was on a sunny day. If possible, return on the second or third day after the rain. Focus on checking for leaks. Visit several times at night, make sure you feel comfortable. We already know the timing and tools to use. How to inspect the safest foundation. What clues should we look for?
I mentioned some points earlier. All houses, regardless of type, except dog kennels, have a foundation and main structure. It all starts from the wall. This formal wall is built from the foundation of your house. About 10 centimeters above the ground level, there is the anti-alkaline line at the lower part of the wall. This anti-alkaline layer features a black line. It's a strip coated with asphalt adhesive. You should carefully inspect it all around. Many houses differ due to various countries, regions, and different owners. With limited knowledge, people tend to plant numerous flowers and plants around their homes. They sometimes even accumulate clutter and trash. Overall, you must be able to see it clearly. That's how it is. The entire foundation should be level. There should be no cracks in the foundation and on the exterior walls. If you see cracks on the main walls, near the foundation, check and see if anything is loose. If you find cracks in the foundation, then examine the walls above and the windows for cracks. Yes, around the windows, because these are close to the window. When the foundation shifts, the areas around the window are most likely to crack. Another key item is the house corners. They crack easily. During construction, the corners are like joints between two rooms. They connect separate rooms. The walls aren't fully joined, so it's a weak connection point, making cracks more likely to appear there. You must not be afraid of getting dirty. Girls should not wear skirts when inspecting a house. Yes, pants. You might lean against the plants for a better view. You need to clearly see the entire foundation from top to bottom. It must be perfectly even. No cracks from top to bottom. This is a good foundation.
That's inspecting outside the house. What about clues inside the house?
Yes, there are signs inside. If you pay attention, one key thing is to look upward. Look up at the corners of the walls. If you see cracks or leaks, either could suggest foundation issues. It's definitely possible. Check every corner of the walls. Focus especially on interior cracks. The second key point is to check the base of the wall corners. Upward and downward, okay? Inspect around the floor for any cracks.
This includes the corners.
Look for cracks or raised parts in floors and tiles. These signs are all critical. If you notice water leaks, check both for cracks and for leakage points. That's how it is. You're looking at the same places. Check for cracks and leaks, too. Don't just focus on one thing and overlook the others. Check everything. Whether leaks or cracks, both count as issues. If the floor is tiled and the foundation moves, the tiles near corners will crack. You can even see the original tiles and the nearby columns in corners showing vertical movement. If a tile moves upward, it indicates the foundation has settled downward.
The surface is uneven.
Near doors and windows, cracks often form at the edges of window frames. They occur easily. Window frames are typically made of wood or aluminum. They are, right? Once the frame is installed in the wall, its edges are sealed with glue or cement. They glue it in place. If small cracks appear on both sides, it means the windows aren't the issue. It's an issue of foundation settlement. So you need to go outside and check the foundation like this.
All right, Master has shared many clues, both outside and inside the house. Now I want to quiz our viewers. Viewers, look at this picture. Outside this house in the picture, which factors could harm the house? Like water seepage or foundation problems. What other harmful factors might there be? Share your thoughts.
Some viewers mention the tree,
The tree is too close to the house.
and some also say that the swimming pool is too close.
I see. Master, we'll explain each point. Let's review this environment and identify the potential hidden risk.
All right, looking at this diagram, all indicate hidden risk.
Let's examine them one by one. The big tree.
Yes, first is the big tree. This big tree presents two major problems. The first is the canopy, the branches and leaves above. The canopy may block sunlight. If you like the shade, that's a good thing too. But from experience, roofs covered by canopies and leaves are prone to mold. That's the first issue. Then, the fallen leaves in autumn. They can clog your drainage pipes.
Right.
Third, because the clog, for instance, can block an upper drainage channel. This channel may then cause backflow into some interior walls.
And then, leaks.
Backflow water damage can be worse than a simple leak. When tree canopies constantly cover the roof, and moisture and rain are frequent, it affects the roof tiles and the wood underneath. Dampness promotes mold growth. This is the tree canopy. Now, the roots are even more dangerous. We know the usual rule: if the canopy's diameter is 10 meters, the roots extend about 10 meters as well. The roots visible on the surface may only be 1 or 2 meters long, but underground, they have already stretched far, like snakes. If the tree is close to the house, have the roots extended under your house's foundation.
The roots can't penetrate concrete foundation, but they can go around it.
Exactly, there's soil beneath, so they can still reach under your foundation. If the roots are thin, it's harmless. But once they grow thick, they can crack the concrete foundation above.
Sometimes we actually see sidewalk trees beside the walkway. As trees grow, their roots spread laterally. They lift the concrete slabs on the sidewalk, causing cracking and buckling.
These roots also crack your foundation. Once cracked, this can cause basement leaks.
Groundwater seeps in.
The water could reach your basement. It does. When cement cracks and gaps form, groundwater may flow upward through crevices. If the upper waterproofing isn't fine, water can seep into your first floor slab or into the walls.
This leads to dampness, mold, and decay, causing even more problems.
Many foundation problems are caused by large tree roots near the house. This is a very troublesome matter. So in principle, I do not recommend planting trees in front of your house. This is a very unsafe and uneconomical practice.
But since we like trees, can we plant them farther away?
At least 10 meters away from the house. Not all trees are safe. Even at 15 meters, they might still reach over.
Their roots are just too aggressive.
Take bamboo, for example.
Okay.
They're beautiful.
Do their thin roots spread far?
They spread underground like snakes. Try grow bamboo on 1 acre. Its roots can extend over 10 miles. That's far.
Yes.
It grows on its own.
Someone from the UK had this problem. He spent £700,000 buying a detached house, and after a few years, the neighbor's bamboo grew into his walls. Look at this picture.
It grew inside his home.
He was a bit shocked when he saw plants sprouting from his walls. And they kept growing. He never planted bamboo, it's their neighbors. Then he realized the bamboo had grown into his bedroom. He knew something was wrong. He hired someone to inspect. So, they dug up the floor and walls. And the sight was truly frightening. The bamboo rhizomes, which had spread out like an extensive network, reaching deep beneath the ground. Roots were inside all his walls. If he hadn't found it in time, the walls could have collapsed soon. His home could have been destroyed. He was lucky. But afterwards, solving the problem was very difficult.
If roots have already reached your house, it's scary. It means your house is almost destroyed. It's a serious problem. So, avoid planting trees around your home. Again, not all trees should be planted. The first, for sure, is bamboo.
Avoid that.
Right. Want to guess the second one?
What is it?
The willow tree. Yes. There's more.
What is it?
Take a guess.
What is it?
The third is the mulberry tree. Its leaves are used to raise silkworms. They relieve sore throats and inflammation. They're good. In Chinese, mulberry sounds like morning.
I see, inauspicious. Anything else, Master?
If we kept going, it'd be too much. Yes, the locust tree. In the front or backyard, try not to plant these 4 types.
I've noticed many Westerners like to grow climbing vines to cover the walls of their houses, like Virginia creeper, also called ivy. It always looks so green.
As if wearing a green sweater. See? It's a little scary.
Is this good or bad?
It depends on how rich you are. If you're rich, it's not a problem. It can damage the wall, causing leaks.
Don't plant this.
If it climbs like in this photo, this house would be leaking in countless spots. Yes. In Chinese, we call it the climbing tiger. This climbing tiger plant has tiny claws. They secrete a sticky substance when they touch the wall. Even if the surface is smooth, it can still hold on to it and climb upwards. When it finds a small crack, it digs in. They're like tiny hairs in the tiny cracks. They grow thicker, right?
Yes.
Small cracks become big.
They expand.
Then, water seeps inside. See, there's another problem, and it spreads quickly, growing fast.
It damages the house.
Indeed. So, don't plant this.
Okay, now we understand.
I think a house is a house. Plants are plants. There must be some distance between them. They cannot be close, much less climb onto the house.
That tree in the picture is close to the house.
Yes.
What about those smaller plants along the walls? Those are not vines, so they should be safe, right?
Generally, the roots of such plants don't spread very far. But to be safe, you should plant ordinary grass, vegetables, or low-growing plants, not too close to the house, away from the walls. Dampness can be a problem. If the leaves are not from woody plants, but herbaceous ones, it's better to keep them away from the walls. Remember, there's an alkali barrier layer. It's made of asphalt. When you water flowers and plants, and leaves touch the wall, water, ground moisture, and alkali rise up. They move together up to the wall. If this happens for several months a year, and the area lacks sunlight, your walls could become damaged. The underground alkali is completely invisible to the naked eye. Once it reaches your wall, it could cause deterioration in both bricks and cement. Be careful, okay?
Nobody wants this problem. Many believe planting flowers near the walls is attractive.
The best is to use small flower pots, ensuring roots stay in the pots. This is safer, yes.
Right.
Keep the flower pots at least 1 meter away from the walls.
Understood. Thank you, Master.
Let's look at the image again.
Some viewers were just discussing the swimming pool, wondering if it might also pose a safety risk to the home.
As long as there's a pool of water, there will be troubles. Kids might fall into the pool, that's one. The second major issue is the potential for water leakage. If it leaks, it usually indicates a slow leak over many years. If there's a large pool of water in the morning, and it becomes empty at night, you'd definitely be alarmed, right? Then you'll call a specialist to fix it. This is a small problem. A slow leak is more troublesome. If the pool, by evening, only loses a bit of water, say, only half remains, many people would think it's just evaporation. That's how it is. Evaporation doesn't work that way. In reality, the water has seeped downward. Who suffers from this?
You, the owner, for sure.
When the water from the pool comes into contact with your foundation, will it cause problems?
Yes, that's the case.
So it's harmful to the foundation. Therefore, those who know wouldn't consider a swimming pool in their house. I know, in feng shui, water symbolizes wealth. But excess water usually harms household prosperity. So it's best not to have such a swimming pool at home.
All right. Apart from health, we've learned feng shui knowledge today.
Right.
Let's talk about the pool leakage. I saw a famous case in the news. It happened in the US in 2021. In Miami, Florida. It's a tourist destination. The apartment building was also by the sea. The building was just 100 meters from the ocean. It was actually a good sea view property. The building had been around for decades. Being by the sea, the area was humid. The air had high salt content. When built, the materials used were not of particularly high standards. The concrete was slowly corroded by the sea breeze. The steel inside was exposed, and the steel rebar rusted. The worst was the underground parking level on the same level as the pool. The pool's waterproof layer had aged and been neglected, so water kept seeping in. It was constantly soaked. The entire apartment building, its main supporting foundation,
Was constantly soaked.
that's the case. The steel reinforcement, too, was constantly soaked. This went on for years. Finally, one midnight in 2021, while everyone was asleep, half the building suddenly collapsed. A progressive collapse.
Terrifying.
In 12 seconds, it crumbled to rubble, 98 lives lost. That's how water decayed the structure, causing the entire structure to collapse. Look at the part that's still standing. It's a miracle it stayed on. 10 days after the disaster, the building was demolished by a controlled explosion. It was too dangerous otherwise.
A slow-eating swimming pool can be that dangerous because no one pays much attention or cares. People always think it's evaporation. A bit of evaporation is fine. The real risk is when you can't see the danger. For tall buildings, when they collapse, many lives are lost. There's no time to escape. A swimming pool, beside a tall building or a villa, it's not safe.
Okay, got it. Now let's return to the picture and look for other housing issues. In that far corner of the wall, there's a pile of rotten leaves. Usually, when we clean the garden, we collect rotten leaves and roots. This pile is not cleared. Over time, they turn into soil. Is this spot a risk?
Yes, it is.
What's wrong with it?
First, the pile will easily decompose when left there. After it rains, moisture is trapped. The pile will then ferment. Look at this piled up mass. The bottom part rests on the ground. The upper part is against the wall. It crosses the alkali barrier on its own.
It not only contains moisture, but also corrosive substances.
The moisture comes from the ground it sits on. The pile itself is somewhat corrosive. The top part is near the walls. Please remember, this is the wall of a house. The main support comes from the foundation below. Between the foundation and the wall, at ground level, about 10 centimeters above ground, there is an alkali barrier. This barrier is the black line of tar paper. When you have a pile of decayed leaves or a heap of garbage, it directly connects through the ground. Moisture affects the wall if the distance is too small. After leaves and garbage decay, they produce mold and moisture. These affect the wall. The wall absorbs the mold after about a week. Mold can enter as long as air passes through. That's the case. It quickly penetrates the wall. Then, the mold develops in the wall. If your wall is made of a wooden structure, the wood inside will mold.
It will rot.
Then, after 3 years, the wood nearby, the wood inside that wall will start to decay. If it goes unnoticed and unattended, soon half of your wall could be completely rotted.
It's dangerous.
Definitely. Right.
Master, I saw a news story very similar to this. It was in 2015, at the University of California. A well-known university. Many students nearby rented apartments. There was a 5-story apartment made of wood. That day, students were having a birthday party. 13 young students stood on the balcony, talking and laughing. Suddenly, the balcony gave way. They fell from the 5th floor. 13 young children. 6 died, 7 were seriously injured. What a tragic event. Why did this happen? The balcony was supported by wooden beams. These beams extended from the main structure. The apartment building also had water leaking through the walls. The water pipe inside kept leaking constantly. As a result, several wooden piles rotted. As time passed, rot and moisture, mold growing inside, decayed the wooden piles.
The wall's outer layer has a waterproof coating. But water seeped in through the edges and corners. The external waterproof layer stopped moisture from escaping the inside, so that it remained damp continuously. This caused mold to grow. The mold made the wood rot. When the children stood on it, the pressure was too much, and it collapsed immediately. Slow leaks are the most dangerous.
They're hard to detect.
You can't even notice them. If your walls are painted and decorated, it's hard to notice any problems inside the walls. The previous owners probably did not inspect carefully. This was a school building, right? Students wouldn't really care. If mold was already inside, the interior walls would start to bubble. Exactly, colored spots or raised bubbles. What a tragedy.
A structural collapse.
Minor leaks and mold are that serious.
They don't just cause the building to become unstable. They also impact health. The WHO has classified mold as a Group 1 carcinogen. It is 68 times more carcinogenic than arsenic, a cancer-causing agent.
Yes.
Besides that, milder effects include asthma, eye irritation, fetal deformities, miscarriage, etc. Also, the liver, kidneys, and nervous system.
Mold can actually be understood as poison. That's absolutely correct. So mold is a toxin, and you must stay away from it. If you find mold inside your house, like in a car and used for 2 to 3 years, there'll be a moldy smell in it. All of this needs to be addressed, or it harms your health.
Ventilation is essential.
Many are not aware. There is a case. A 2-year-old British boy, his parents were immigrants. They came from Sudan to the UK, living in social housing that was severely neglected. It was damp, and it rained constantly in the UK. Many structures inside had already become moldy. The boy had been living in that building long term. The walls were all moldy. The air was filled with the smell of mold. After moving in, there were symptoms. The boy started coughing, struggled to breathe, and developed a fever. He then fell unconscious. His parents then filed complaints, saying the house had problems that caused the boy's illness. But the property management ignored them. They couldn't afford to move. One night, the boy had a high fever. Then he became unconscious. He passed away in the hospital.
Oh my God.
Yes, a 2-year-old child.
The doctor said it was the mold.
Specifically, the mold caused problems in the child's respiratory system, which led to his death. So, don't take mold lightly.
When it gets severe, it can even cause death. I have personal experience with this. For example, sometimes when we travel frequently, we stay in hotels. Some hotels aren't maintained properly. Maybe the room I stayed in had been vacant for many years, or unused for 1 to 2 years. For example, if you go to Malaysia, a tropical region, a house that's been empty for at least 6 months would have mold inside. In the hotels, it's hard to get fresh air.
The windows cannot be opened.
There is no way to open them. There's no natural ventilation.
Only air recirculation.
The air ducts are full of mold.
Without a doubt.
So when you enter that room, you can smell the mold. I would sleep there one night and wake up dizzy. The next day, you'd feel nauseous.
Your brain nerves get affected. It also affects memory and thinking ability.
Its impact on the brain nerves is severe. It makes your mood very bad and causes overall weakness. This is what mold can do. It's a symptom of infection and poisoning. You just have to bear with it when the rooms are fully booked. You have to bear with it. Its harm to the human body is huge. Actually, many people don't really know this. To many, in a hotel, ghosts are scary, but they overlook mold. This is a crucial issue. If we're careless, we could end up buying a house with mold, which leads to big problems.
Master, now we understand that leaks increase mold risk. Does this harm our health and safety? When buying a house, how do we check for leaks?
Earlier, we mentioned look, touch, smell, light and snap, right?
How do you spot signs of leakage?
First, use a strong flashlight. It helps you see clearly. Second, do not wear a mask.
Smell for any mold odor.
Smell carefully. Usually, we inspect the corners. Yes, the living room and the bedroom. Check the corners and doors and windows, looking both up and down. Look up above you. Examine the ceiling and the wall corners carefully. Look for any repairs. A repaired line might indicate a crack. Avoid buying the house with wall cracks.
Are those leaks?
Not always. If the wall has a crack, it could indicate a foundation issue. If there are obvious cracks, the next step is to check for water leaks. Water damage marks are usually visible. Examine those marks closely, like the marks shown in the photo.
They are very clear.
This is classified as extremely severe. At this level, this should be avoided.
It's moldy.
First, there is a serious leak. Second, mold is present. This house is very troublesome. For houses well maintained by previous owners, if there was a water leak after leakage, when selling the house, some decoration and repair work would be done to cover the leak stains. They would hire specialists, people who fix houses before selling them, to repaint the areas where leaks had occurred. For example, if the wall paint is white, they would brush over the stained area and apply 2 coats of paint. With a strong flashlight, you need to change and shift your position to check for any signs of water leakage. Some say they found no leaks, but noticed spots with new paint. If there was no problem, why repaint these spots?
Why repaint it, right?
We're talking about patches that are repainted. That's where the water leaked, especially near the top areas. This is usually common. Then, at other places, there are other findings. At the lower wall corners, some walls near the bottom have an extra long strip of board attached. Yes, the skirting board, it's about 10 centimeters wide. Some walls have them end to end, in one long stretch. Newer walls usually don't have them. At the bottom edge, check for any damp stains. So if the wall is damp, its color will be darker. Shine a flashlight on it to see. It is definitely damp. If you touch inside, it feels wet. This is the wall. Next, as in the photo earlier, the corner of your wall, or some section of the wall has dark spots. When they appear or thicken, they're no longer just spots, but patches. Perhaps children were rubbing against the wall, and the rubbed area turns dark or develops mold spots. If those are mold spots, that's troublesome.
Leaking?
Signs of water leakage. Many windows are wooden. If water has leaked on them, you'll see signs. The windows you use are all painted, right? You'll see paint peeling off. That's the sign. If the floor has wooden flooring, you'll see discolored spots or patches. The affected patches are lighter in color. For example, most floors have a coffee-like color, but a small section is much lighter in color. If you look closely, it may have been water damaged and then dried.
The color has faded.
That's why it appears lighter. Some floors darken when wet. Most floors are coffee-colored, but some spots are darker. It means it's not dry.
Yes.
It's absorbed water, and it hasn't drained out. These are all signs of water leakage. There is a third issue. The wooden planks originally laid have warped. Wooden floors should be flat, but some planks are somewhat lifted.
Lifted.
Those raised parts result from water leakage. Water-soaked planks will warp and lose their shape. So this issue is also very important. The wooden board is warped. It has been water damaged. What comes next? What to hear more? The doors and windows. They're places recessed into the wall structure, right? The wall has a reserved opening for windows. That's the case. The gaps are then sealed with filler materials. In the earliest days, they used lightweight cement. They also added a special material called oily putty. It was used to seal leaks. Yes, now it's obsolete. Silicone is used instead. It's applied from a large tub with a press inside. You spread the silicone upward. It oozes out a lot. Once dry, the silicone becomes nearly transparent. When freshly applied, it's white. After drying, it turns transparent. If colored, it has a light white tint. If water leaks at the window edges, you must apply this silicone upward, right? If this sealant is fairly new,
It means it was recently applied.
probably a month ago, It was applied following a water leak to seal up leaks and prepare the house for sale. That's the case. If the windows weren't leaking, no one would think to reapply sealant. Aside from this new sealant area, the leaks are mainly around the windows. Water is constantly used inside the bathroom, so the chances of leaks are high. Some bathrooms do leak. If left untreated for years, or even just 6 months, you will find leaks somewhere on the bathroom floor. Crystal formations will protrude, but these crystals are firmly attached to the floor. They're like tiny, transparent mini volcanoes. Near such formations, look up at the ceiling. Check for any signs of water leakage. These crystal formations indicate water leaking downward. If water has been leaking for some time through these gaps, they contain cement, mortar, bricks, stones, and adhesive materials in them. That's how the crystal formations appear. This has been ignored for at least 6 months. It's serious and needs inspection. Over time, it creates formations like crystal pillars. It's common in bathrooms with leaks because the mineral content in the water is high. It indicates a serious water leak. Next is the toilet. They're made in factories and then installed in bathrooms. Check if new sealant has been applied to the outer edges. If fresh sealant is there, it means it was either recently replaced or a severe clog was just cleared. This indicates leakage and blockage.
It was removed, repaired, then reinstalled.
Then, they applied sealant again.
Thanks to Master, we all became detectives.
Yes, normally we wouldn't notice these details.
There's another sign. That's why you need to look, touch, and smell. Inside a leaking house, especially if the leaked water isn't drained away. It will be inside the walls, ceiling, or within furniture. The humidity inside the house is severe. If the bathroom keeps leaking, you can't even see it. But you notice that the bathroom mirror is always foggy. So you try wiping it clean with some tissue paper, making it spotless. Then, after half an hour, check again. You find that the area you cleaned has become foggy again. This shows the moisture problem is severe. Some wooden furniture may have rotted. The moisture cannot escape. The previous owner might not have noticed it. That's why. When the house is too damp, it causes mildew smells and mold. If you detect a mold odor, you should reconsider buying this house. As you see, these problems all stem from leaks.
Alright, so now we've learned to check. 1. Whether the foundation has settled. Check every corner thoroughly for any leaks. This is important because it directly affects our health and safety.
In Southeast Asia, there's one common problem: termites.
Not just throughout much of Southeast Asia, but also in the US and Canada.
They feed on wood. So they eat the wooden structures inside your house. Hollowing out your home from within, that's what I mean. Even though houses today are built with concrete, if termites infest your home, they secrete an acid called formic acid. This formic acid can even corrode reinforced concrete. So if you have termites in your house, they'll seriously damage your home. These are serious safety risks. For example, In Malaysia, there is a primary school with a history of over a century. In 2005, a strange incident happened. A teacher was involved in an event. He was printing documents in the office. Then, suddenly, the floor beneath him collapsed. He was on the second floor, and fell onto the first floor. The floor had been weakened by termite damage. There was no support at all. He stepped on it and fell through. He died instantly. They said his face was covered in termites.
As he passed by, termites from cracks in the wood must have fallen onto his face.
Regarding these termites, they say seeing one termite means there's already a whole colony.
I also heard a story about a house infested with termites. The owner had hidden some private cash inside the house. He hid it in a crack in the wall.
Right.
After some time, he took it out to count again. But when he took it out, all of it had been eaten by termites. Regarding Malaysia's currency, the 1 and 5 ringgit notes are made of plastics. The 50s and 100s are made of paper. The termites ate the paper ones.
He was truly devastated.
Losing money is saddening. But the entire house was actually being eaten by termites. It's very frightening.
Termites are a global problem. Termites exist where the ants are. This applies in both Canada and the US. Termite infestations is terrifying. Once they are present, your house becomes nearly unlivable. So now, we remind everyone. If you see black or white ants in your home, call a professional termite exterminator. Don't save up on this. If not, you won't be able to save your house. So, get professional treatment quickly.
All right.
When buying a house, it's about inspecting early on. Get everything checked.
A home inspector should cover all of this, including termites and similar pests. The inspector's fee covers these too. It's not a medical exam where only blood is tested. A house inspection covers the entire property. You must inspect everything you can think of.
The cost is justified.
So, hire a professional home inspector.
Only after thorough inspection. And feeling completely satisfied, should you say, I'll buy it. The next step is to conduct the home inspection. If issues arise from the inspection, I can opt not to buy. This is part of the contract. Finally, the home inspector offers a technical guarantee. This is crucial and worth the cost.
Yes, they help us oversee things. Yes, exactly. So next, what else do we check in this house? We must examine the quality of the building materials. Solid wood materials aren't common nowadays. Yes, plywood, particle board, or MDF. These are made from wood scraps glued and pressed together. The glue contains large amounts of formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is very harmful. It causes various health problems. The most serious is cancer. Many people develop leukemia, a blood cancer. It also causes respiratory asthma. It can cause miscarriage and birth defects. This is very serious, extremely serious. When buying a house, we must check the materials. A newlywed couple in Taiwan happily purchased a house and moved in. Soon after, the husband began to have nasal congestion, a runny nose, and pain around his nose. He was diagnosed with nasopharyngeal cancer. The wife was pregnant at the time. They were both very happy, but she suffered a miscarriage. The doctor was puzzled, because neither of them drank or smoked. And they lived healthy lifestyle. What's the cause? The doctor suspected that it could be formaldehyde poisoning. They hired experts to conduct an assessment. Sure enough, the formaldehyde level was 4 times above the health standard. See how it damaged their health. We must pay close attention to our building materials.
This is the wood section. Actually, in North America, most homes are villas. Only recently have high-rises been built. In Canada, 6-story buildings are all timber structures. But today, wood structures rarely use solid timber boards. This has declined sharply. Most use boards made by bonding with sawdust, with formaldehyde-based adhesives. We generally call this plywood. Everyone uses it. I observed this in the Vancouver area. In more expensive real estate areas, builders tend to use higher quality materials. There will be less synthetic material and formaldehyde. But in cheaper areas, the interior building materials differ. It said none of it is real wood. They're all man-made wooden boards, made by gluing wood chips together.
This is mainly to cut costs.
For example, a plywood sheet cost $4. A natural wood board cost $30. A huge difference, so they opt for cheaper materials. Apart from wood, other building materials are used, right? You can't build high-rises entirely from wood. So bricks, our traditional bricks, cement, and steel reinforcement.
Can steel affect health?
Yes. Steel reinforcement must comply with government regulations that control and limit radioactive substances. Iron contains radioactive substances. It can contain a significant amount of cobalt. That was in the original material. Cobalt can also be present in steel. Higher cobalt content in iron can make it radioactive. Thus, in many developed countries worldwide, it has long been prohibited. The steel used in this building is not completely free of cobalt. The cobalt content must be below a certain safety limit. Only then will it avoid producing cobalt radiation harmful to health. Taiwan has built some good houses using steel in the past. Although they are sturdy, the steel inside contains cobalt, at levels exceeding the standards. You must comply with the government standards. Cobalt needs to be intentionally removed. Nowadays, cobalt content is very low in many high-quality building materials.
Master, how can we know this?
We can't verify it ourselves.
It depends on the developer's reputation.
Exactly. You can only identify if it's a relatively well-known and larger-scale local construction company. What's more concerning is if the company is from a foreign country
And misuses the materials.
When troubles arise, foreign companies don't care. It's always the local's fault. Speaking of local developers, I found one who is local, but indeed not well known. For an unknown developer, even if they go bankrupt, there won't be a significant financial loss. For large developers, many investors' interests are at stake. They want to earn more money and hope their companies will last 100 years or longer. They aim to be long-lasting, and so they must prioritize their honor and quality. Such companies are more cautious. They dare not use substandard building materials. Not all foreign companies are dishonest. Some place great emphasis on reputation. If the company coming in is reputable, they will also avoid using substandard materials. Locally, it's better to choose reputable companies. That's the safer choice. They must be accountable for their reputation and growth, so they won't dare misuse materials.
Speaking of this, fire prevention is equally important. There is a case. A residential building named Grenfell Tower. Originally plain and modest, it was renovated in 2016. Particularly the exterior. They used rare and eye-catching materials for the cladding. These materials were combustible and flammable.
Yes.
Flammable. Because the building had this type of outer wall structure and was covered with flammable material on the outside. One day, a fire eventually broke out. The fire started on the 4th floor. Within just half an hour, the flames climbed along the outer wall.
Yes.
This quickly spread up to the 24th floor. Yes, the whole building. The building was like a chimney, with no way out. It caused the tragic deaths of 72 people. I can't even describe it. The flammable materials in the wall layers let flames race to the roof. That's why the fire safety of new building materials must be taken seriously.
Because sometimes, some building material sellers, and also those who aim to build cheaply, can be found in Canada. Some villas have exterior covered with panels that resemble stone. They are just a type of chemical plastic. When we lift them, they are twice as light as wood, very lightweight. They're so-called insulating and bulletproof. They catch fire easily. These materials are used to save cost. When it comes to building materials, whether for interior or exterior use, you must clearly inquire about what they actually are. From my experience, when real estate agents or salespeople use fancy or tricky terms, I'll just ask them to explain in layman terms. And this is what people don't do, fearing ridicule for ignorance. And that's exactly how they exploit people. So, they're plastics, and they flammable. Must never be used for exterior decoration. Try to avoid wallpaper, it's flammable. Exterior materials especially must not be flammable plastic.
Speaking of dangerous materials, and one of these is asbestos. Asbestos was used in many old houses. Wall panels, roofs, tiles, and even insulation layers. It is now banned because it causes serious health risk. Let me share a case. In Australia, there is a city called Widenham. Back in 1930, there was a blue asbestos mine there. At that time, asbestos was everywhere. To save cost, the mining company used asbestos dust to build schools, playgrounds, and more. Imagine children playing in asbestos dust every day. At home after work, the workers would brush off the dust. It was everywhere in the house. These deadly asbestos fibers had always been present in these environments. In 1966, after the mine closed, the medical community confirmed long-term inhalation of asbestos fibers causes mesothelioma. Once asbestos fibers enter the body, the latent period can last 20 to 40 years. To this day, over 2,000 people there have died from diseases due to asbestos. And that number keeps growing. The air in this town remains poisonous. The government has compelled all residents to evacuate the town. To block access, they have removed the town's name from maps. Asbestos is truly a very hazardous building material. It's a Class 1 carcinogen. When inhaled, its fibers can cause asbestosis, mesothelioma, and even lung cancer.
What does mesothelioma mean? What is that?
Mesothelioma affects all our internal organs. For example, our lungs and even the abdominal cavity and intestines, which are all covered by a membrane called the mesothelium. Mesothelioma is a cancer that develops on this membrane. It is hard to treat with a long latency period.
That reminds me of my first house in Canada. So, I bought it in a good school district. I couldn't afford a new or big one, so I bought an old house. Over 50 years old. When inspecting, the inspector was experienced. He told us about common issues in old houses. Upon inspection, our insulation was found to be asbestos. We were told it's carcinogenic. It must be replaced, no exceptions. Later, we hired the renovation team. The entire crew removed all the asbestos. Only then did the house meet current health standards.
These materials were already there. It was a second-hand house. Ordinary people wouldn't know. You need to hire a professional home inspector.
Here, asbestos was used as insulation in buildings, which was very common in the past. It looks like lime with a corrugated, wavy pattern. Yes, asbestos roofing. Inside, the main layer is highly pressure resistant, a durable layer. Similar to textile material, that layer is asbestos. When I was a child, I also saw many electrical wires, whose outer layers were woven from asbestos. One layer was the wire, and another was a fiber layer, like a wrapping. The outer layer of the wires, providing insulation. In the past, asbestos was a very important building material. Its toxicity and alternatives had to be discovered first. That's my opinion. If you buy an old house, you can't just open the walls to check. You wouldn't understand. Only professionals conduct checks for asbestos. This must be noted. Otherwise, walls won't be opened for asbestos testing. You can't remove asbestos yourself.
Right.
Doing so risks illness and is unsafe. Experts are needed. In North America, licensed specialists handle this. Removing asbestos is costly, but it has to be done. There is another material. I want to tell you about it. If you build a house in a cold climate, especially when laying the foundation, and for a high-rise, construction takes years. There is a hidden risk during that time. All companies face this weather issue. This problem happens especially in winter. If the temperature drops below 0 Celsius, and especially below -5, water will freeze. You need to turn lime, which is cement powder, into a sticky, porridge-like paste. The water is mixed in, turning it into a mixture. Then it's poured into properly prepared molds. It becomes a pillar, it becomes a beam, but the water actually froze. In extremely cold conditions, the mixture would boshue. be affected due to the severe cold, in terms of the way it solidifies. I saw this when I was a child, a lump of cement made at about -15 degrees Celsius. It's an experiment my father conducted. A month later, they struck it with a hammer, and the thing crumbled like a cookie. So when it's very cold in winter, if no special precautions are taken, whether it's the foundation or the columns and beams in the concrete, their strength will be compromised.
In Canada, I've heard that developers and builders avoid construction during winters. They know it affects quality. It's important to choose those with a good reputation. Only then will they follow proper rules and work correctly. That way, the quality improves.
Today, this applies mainly to concrete work. When pouring concrete in winter, certain precautions are usually taken. Decades ago in China, during winter constructions, salt was added to the water when making cement. The salt prevents the water from freezing. This is an anti-freeze method. For small items, work can be done indoors, but for large areas, like foundations or big columns, they can't just be covered up. Antifreeze issues become complicated problems. Over time, they must have developed other additives. They added new materials. What I want to say is, if you buy a house, especially in a colder region, check with the government, or ask the seller, who might tell you when the foundation was poured, if they're honest. If not, you can verify it with the city government. Every phase of the project, especially laying the foundation, requires approval reports submitted to the government. Only then can works begin. That's the case. Ideally, the foundation should not be poured during cold weather.
This is very, very important.
Otherwise, it will affect the house's stability.
Thank you, Master. This is all knowledge about building materials, which is important.
It's about the safety of the house.
Just like we mentioned, the house's shape, color, and overall feel are closely related to you. If you don't like it, then don't consider it. A friend of mine from Singapore said that when they went to see a house, they brought their child along. They watched to see if the child liked the place. If the child liked it, it meant the house was auspicious and suitable for their family. Master, is this true?
Yes. What exactly is the basis for this? Because children, especially under 7 years old, have a soft spot on their heads that moves with their heartbeat. At this young age, children usually have a certain intuition and spirituality. They sense that this place, person, or situation does not pose any harm to their family, or they truly like it and are willing to engage. For example, if you are still holding the child, they might resist going to the ground, or they will ask to leave immediately. Children don't lie. Yes, if they don't like certain places, they speak plainly. They'll ask their parents to leave. Children act on intuition, so what they sense is not always clearly understood. Maybe they saw something, maybe they disliked it. They feel it. That's exactly the message.
This is important.
It means his family might not thrive here.
Someone says when he inspected his house, he brought a dog.
It's the same idea as bringing a child. Dog owners can read the dog's emotions, whether they like it or not. When dogs get restless at a place, it's not good. Dog owners can understand their dogs, right? But if a dog really enjoys the place, it means the place is a good place. Because it's your dog, after all.
Some dogs even pee at certain spots.
Claiming territories.
It's a good sign.
Good.
Interesting.
Yes.
There's a saying, when people inspect a house, they look at whether trees and plants nearby thrive. If they grow well, the place is prosperous.
This relates to feng shui. Usually, there are signs that show how prosperous a place is. Dogs and children liking a place has nothing to do with prosperity. It means the place suits you. To know if a place will prosper in the future, it's linked more to the energy field around it.
We're not taught about this. We don't know how to read it.
Once I explain, you shall become a feng shui master. Take Vancouver as an example. It's divided into two main areas, the west side and the east side. You drive from the west side by the ocean and follow the main road, like 41st Street, all the way to the east side. At the east side, you'll see that trees can't grow. They are stunted and misshapen. That's why houses in the east side tend to be cheaper. The west side is more expensive. Still, not every street or place there prospers. We say the land's energy is strong. You can tell this at a glance by seeing if the trees are flourishing. This is the most important indicator. In a prospering area, even a 60-year-old house is auspicious.
That's good.
Yes.
People are healthy. The trees grow, so do the people.
When you reach a truly haunted house area, you'll see the stones and trees look weird and feel strange. It simply feels unpleasant to look at. The house from outside, on the surface, feels uncomfortable to you. It's not eerie, but it feels off. It's a discomfort in your mind. Children become restless and irritable here, right? That means it probably doesn't suit you. Sometimes bad things can happen.
I see. Thank you, Master.
Thank you, Master. Master, if we choose an apartment building, there are many units on the same floor. If the elevator is in the middle, and the surrounding units are close by, I might avoid choosing those units, because it feels somewhat noisy. People come and go near the elevator every day, right? What if I avoid the elevator and pick the unit at the far end of the hallway?
The very last one.
Yes.
The one at the very end.
It's quieter there, is that all right?
Yes, but you know, there's a rumor circulating that if you stay in a hotel, you shouldn't book the room at the very end of the hallway. That's a common belief. But when we buy a house, it's to live in, right? So, because of this, it's best to avoid living in the last unit. Avoid the unit at the very end of the corridor. Typically, when we buy a house, living in the corner unit on the top floor has many advantages. Because it's a corner, one window faces south and another, east. That's excellent, isn't it? From the corridor's perspective, it's the end point. Usually, It resembles a T-junction in a road. The longer the corridor, the greater the energy, a chi, that rushes straight toward your home. But there are ways to neutralize this. We'll discuss about them later. It's about feng shui.
We all like this.
But for this episode, we're not touching on feng shui yet. Still, this problem can be solved. Generally, we avoid these units.
Okay, thank you, Master.
Many apartment buildings are both commercial and residential. You'd find restaurants, shopping malls on ground floor. Is it better with restaurants on the ground floor?
It depends on your purpose. If your goal is a peaceful and stable life, and you want your family, with young and old, to live quietly without disturbance, then it's better if you live in a building without commercial venues. Residents wouldn't sabotage their own home. Impossible. A couple might argue, but they won't damage their home. The same goes to the other residents. So everyone loves their home. But if the ground floor is a noodle shop, grocery store, or barber shop, then that brings a steady flow of people. It is convenient if you want to buy groceries or grab a quick meal. The downside is the flow of people and the security risk.
That's true.
Is fire a concern?
Definitely.
If a restaurant catches fire, won't it go upwards?
Fire rises.
Fire rises, water flows down, so those upstairs need to beware.
It's hard to escape.
If there are restaurants, is there smell of food?
Or rats?
If someone sells stinky tofu on the first floor, it's a nightmare.
Wow.
That's air pollution. If alcohol was sold, some people, after drinking, might cause trouble. This is scary.
It's not peaceful.
What if your unit and the karaoke downstairs are in two different buildings? Also, the soundproofing is good, too. You won't hear anything at all. Is this good?
No.
I don't like it either.
It's convenient if you want to sing.
But those who sing usually do it late at night. And they might be doing other things as well.
Karaoke is specifically for singing. In Taiwan, there are karaoke spots open for business until dawn, sometimes 7 a.m. People start getting drunk by 11:30 p.m., and after that, no one comes out sober. I don't think you'd want to deal with people who spend the whole night in a karaoke bar. So safety becomes a concern, and fire concern. And thirdly, paranormal occurrences. It's common in this type of building, especially ghost sightings.
Therefore, it's best to avoid it.
Just sing at home. You don't need a karaoke bar in your apartment building.
All right, got it.
Master, I have another question. Should I live in a unit near the swimming pool? Maybe the air would be fresher? Is it better to face the pool or not?
If you can't avoid it, you're stuck with it. The farther you're away, the better. Pool water is unhealthy. Do you know how much chemical is added daily for disinfection? Do insects drink water?
They do.
How about flies and mosquitoes?
They even breed in water.
But you won't see them hovering over the pool. That's because it emits a smell, which drives them away. Being near the pool means you're near to poison. Every inch of your body is inhaling the poison from the pool water. Being close to the pool is bad feng shui.
How?
Movement means dynamic energy. It causes many disturbances. Stay away from the pool.
All right, all right.
Don't buy a house with a swimming pool. For your apartment unit, avoid the pool area. Yes. Alright, the questions we asked were all submitted by our viewers. After hearing your insights today, there are still many questions left unanswered.
If you have housing-related questions and want my advice, please provide detailed information. For example, the floor plan of the house. If you don't have one, you need to draw it and mark all directions. Each map is marked with east, south, west, and north.
Doors and windows, too.
And label each room. Master bedroom, secondary room 1, secondary room 2, etc. In your larger surrounding area, how far the northern mountain is, whether the nearby river is 1 kilometer or 50 meters, and whether it's large or small. Include hospitals, police stations, nursing homes, funeral homes, and cemeteries, with distance and direction from your home. It's for reference. If not, I'll only see the room's layout, which is just 1/3 of feng shui. Feng shui starts with the big picture, the broader area, then the neighborhood, and finally the house structure. Please provide full details so I can offer more accurate and helpful advice. We can discuss some special cases. We will not reveal your personal information.
Master, when our followers raise their issues, is this connected to their own fate or destiny? Do they need to provide birth date and time?
Yes, birth year, zodiac sign, gender, and even a photo if possible. This helps determine if the house fits your fate. Everyone's zodiac and fate elements are different. Everyone's element is different. A house might suit you but not someone else. It's about how compatible you are with your house. That's how it is, whether your fate aligns with the house. That is the most important factor.
Alright, thank you, Master. This is not easy, Master.
The viewers are very pleased. Next time, we'll cover more on this.
When I have time, I'll check your home's condition. I can analyze how safe and auspicious your home is. Sometimes, though, you may feel the house is inauspicious. If you are unsure whether this relates to feng shui, please write down your questions. I can provide a detailed analysis.
Alright.
Thank you, Master.
Thank you, Master. We look forward to the next session.
All right, thank you all very much. Thank you for your participation and questions. Summarize and organize your questions well, then send to the email address provided. Make sure to send them to that mailbox. I wish you good health and a long life.
Received.
I wish you joy.
Received.
See you next time.
Thank you, Master.
小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇，我智慧了。